a streetscape of broken glass and debris reminiscent of some distant, strife-torn part of the world. Just after 9:15 this morning, a bomb tore through the headquarters of the National Crime Authority on the 12th floor of an office building in Weymouth Street, Adelaide.
It was the day terror came to Adelaide. The 2nd of March 1994. An incomprehensible crime. A man with links to the notorious Calabrian mafia sends his enemy a parcel bomber's revenge.
This is a wicked and evil thing that's been done.
Police were quick to close in on their suspect, arresting Domenic Perre at his Salisbury home 6 days after the bombing.
I'm arresting you for murder of Detective Sergeant Jeff Bowen and the attempt murder of Solicitor Peter Wallet.
No! This is a nightmare, dog! This is a nightmare to me!
Police alleged Perre had a clear motive. 7 months earlier, Northern Territory Police had set his family's $20 million cannabis crop on fire, arresting Domenic Perre's brother and uncle, along with 9 other associates. Back in Adelaide, the NCA had begun targeting the Italian mafia, and Detective Sergeant Bowen had Perre in his sights, goading and belittling him. Perre had complained of harassment and police stealing his guns.
It is to be alleged that on the day before the bombing of the NCA building, you disposed of books relating to homemade bombs, along with detonators and primer cord. These items were recovered with the firearms you initially reported stolen. You were also seen to visit the scene of the bombing shortly after the explosion. Do you wish to make any comment?
No comment.
The case made it to court, but in September 1994, the charges were sensationally dropped.
Today, the case against Domenic Perre collapsed. The charges of murder and attempted murder discontinued. The state's Director of Public Prosecutions made the announcement at a packed press conference, bringing to an end an embarrassing episode of conflicting testimony and circumstantial evidence.
My advice from my solicitor is not to say anything. It's inappropriate.
In court, prosecutors relied on the testimony of gunsmith Alan Chamberlain, who claimed Perre handed him bomb-making books and detonators to hide before the explosion. But Perre pointed the finger at the star prosecution witness, alleging he, in fact, was the bomber.
The test for a circumstantial case is whether the prosecution can exclude every other hypothesis reasonably consistent with innocence. In my assessment, I couldn't do that on the evidence available at the moment.
But it didn't end there. Police pulled out every trick to try and catch Perre. He was under constant covert surveillance. This video shows Perre talking to an undercover cop who'd been planted inside his crew.
We're going to have to purchase more of the infantry, okay? So what we'll be doing is we'll be selling just enough to purchase. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less.
In 1999, 5 years after the bombing, the coroner found Perre was most likely responsible.
It's something many of us have always considered the only credible explanation, and it's certainly something that I've never been dissuaded from. I always believed he was responsible.
Police allege that after the bombing, Domenic Perre came here to this rooftop car park to view the results of his work. 28 years later, the National Crime Authority has long been disbanded. But the building that housed its offices has stood the test of time, and so has police interest in Domenic Perre, who they believed killed one of their own. In 2016, detectives set up a new task force to examine the bombing. The following year, Perre was arrested on drug trafficking charges. In 2018, while still in custody, he was charged over the bombing for a second time.
We have never lost sight of justice, nor have we ever lost faith in the South Australia Police.
At 65 years old, Perre faced trial for murder and attempted murder last year. The case remained circumstantial. The prosecution meticulously pieced together 28 years of evidence during a 7-month trial. And now, Supreme Court Justice Kevin Nicholson has validated the long-held suspicion that